Greetings everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, I will be discussing the inertia of thought. So, what is inertia? Inertia may be defined as the property of matter by virtue of which an object continues in its existing state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon by an external force. To give a very, very basic example of inertia, if you're on a bus and you're standing and the bus is not moving, the bus is at rest. If the bus starts to move forward, you would tend to move back from the motion of the bus. Likewise, if the bus is in motion, if the bus were to stop suddenly, you would tend to go forward. This is a very basic example of inertia. Like all law, it's always been with us. We may not have a word for it or a term for it or an explanation for it, but it was there. Like anything else, thought is energy. And as energy, using the law of polarity, we can apply inertia to thought. But we could look at a restful state of thought as habits. Okay, but we can also say that those habits, like energy, any energy, is in motion. Okay, all thought is motion. All thought is movement. And then it requires energy to change and adapt a new thought. So we will say inertia of thought is the movement of thought, it's established thoughts, it's habitual thinking, and it takes new thought, new ways of thinking to change that old way of thinking or to add to it in terms of experience, knowledge, and information. That's marketing. That's what the whole world of marketing is about, and repetition. Year after year, marketing products to you is to shift your inertia or to keep your inertia moving in the same direction, your inertia of thought in the same direction. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, you should probably watch Opinions. I explained that all of my videos will be based on 4 sources: natural law, 12 disciplines of mind, the Paut Neteru, and the cosmic law. I can explain all activity in life based on those 4 sources. And those 4 sources have within them all knowledge and wisdom. I can say that with confidence. Now, so since I've established the fact that thought can't necessarily be at rest, there is a form of thought where you are resistant to new forms of thought that are different from your established forms of thought. To go from an established form of thought to a new thought takes energy. And once that energy is in motion, okay, now we have inertia. Well, we had inertia at rest, but we have inertia of motion now. Because the effort and the energy that it takes to create and move in new ways of thinking, new ideas, new concepts, new disciplines, that takes energy. And once that energy and once those thoughts are in motion, they tend to want to remain in motion. A person who's resistant to new ideas and new thought will be, based on this definition, will be at rest in terms of inertia. What we see sometimes with topics that we consider complex, we may say to ourselves that I'm not a math person, I'm not a science person, I'm not a cryptocurrency person or forex person or a whatever person. We lock ourselves into certain forms of thought based on inertia. The common forms of thought moving in one direction and not willing to exert energy to change our common or established forms of thought into new forms of thought. Based on the Paut Neteru, if I were operating in perfect harmony based on Ma'at in all 11 spheres, there is no thought that has any emotion inherently born in that thought, or that discipline, or that energy, or that idea. And an idea is an idea. A thought is a thought. Okay? A thought is a thought. We plant our idea of the thing. Say it. Let's say with it, that thing is mathematics. We have an idea, a feeling, an emotion associated with mathematics. If we consider ourselves a person who's well-versed in mathematics, the inertia of moving into anything related to mathematics is already in motion. So there's no resistance. There's no external force acting on that idea. But if we're a person who considers ourselves not mathematics, or I'm not a math person type person, then the resistance, there's a force acting on that thought that's keeping you from flowing into whatever the situation is regarding the math. Whatever the issue is, that you're going to put some resistance in. Otherwise, if you don't have a negative emotion associated with the thought of mathematics, you will flow. From a purely Paut Neteru state of mind, with no thought, no idea, no vibration in Amen, having any particular emotion inherent to it, emotional feeling inherent to it. It's just thought, it's just ideas, it's just consciousness, purely. If we're able to associate those things as just that, if all thoughts are equal in terms of power on their own, then we should be able to give any thought or feeling to any thought or idea that we want. Now, if we're able to do that based on law, there's certain advantages to it. Our goal and the purpose of this video, number one, is to understand that you can do anything that you wish to do. What we typically do, being Geb beings, being physical beings, being beings that are using our external world to shape our future world, taking the cues from society, which limits us, we develop an inertia of thought based on external ideas that may or may not be in sync with the Paut Neteru or any other laws or the source laws that I'm using. Okay? The goal is to get the inertia of thought in line and in sync with law. Habits can be looked upon as thoughts in motion. They just keep moving unless something comes along, another thought comes along that changes that habit. Habits can be good, habits can be bad based on law of polarity. Good habits would be habits that are in sync with law. Law as defined in this series of videos. We want our inertia, we want our habits to be moving in a state of uniform motion in sync with the law. Not at rest, so to speak, where we're resistant to change or resistant to ideas, resistant to law. That would be for our betterment. Once an object is in motion, it's easier to keep it in motion than to stop it, depending on how fast that motion is. Going back to the 12 disciplines, I would like to focus on Judah for 1 minute. Judah is, depending on who you read or listen to, Judah can be death, transition, it could be betrayal. And as it applies to the inertia of thought is, in order to go from one state, let's say a rest state, to a motion state, there needs to be transition. The old state has to die to give way to the new state. to establish a more positive state that's in sync with law by committing death to the old state. This is the essence of Judah. Transition. I prefer to use the term transition. But to transform from that rest state to the uniform state of motion takes energy. It's a discipline. So I'll end it here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, peace and love.